Programming in C# and ASP.NET. This is Mr. Wilson, your instructor and guide, as we take a closer look at C# and ASP.NET. CS ASP 027, Introduction to Class Objects, Part 2. Let's go to Visual Studios.
Hey there, programmers. We started in the last video the school app, and we built the class. If you haven't done that yet, go back and watch that video. You'll need to do that. And here is that class that we built that was called the student class. So now we're going to move back over back to our program tab. Up here, you can also get to it from here. Double click this and it'll open it up. And I'm going to come back over to here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the save all. Hopefully you saved your project. If not, you'll have to go back and watch that other piece and catch up. And so now we want to start actually using all of our class, okay? So how are we going to do that? The first thing that we need to do is we need to instantiate our student. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say create first student. All right. So I want to say student. Notice there it pops up. It shows me student. So I'm connected to my student class. Student. And I'm going to call this first student. And I'm going to say equals. And I'm going to say new. And it says, hey, do you want student? I do. And I'm going to put my parentheses there. Notice there's no arguments in there. There's no arguments in there. So if you were to guess then, if you remember, I built over in my student class, I built constructors. And those constructors had several different versions. I made one that was a default one. I made one with one argument. I made one with 3 arguments. I made one with all of the data in one place. Okay, so which one am I using? Well, I'm using the default, the one that has no arguments in it. Okay, this is important for you to start to understand this. When we create this object, we're not putting, this one is not putting anything inside of our object to start off with. Okay, so with this, let's say / get, not set, get student info. Okay, because that's what I want to do in this. Get student info. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say the name of my object, which is first student. And then period. And I'm going to put my student number in here. That's the first thing I want. So if I go down here and I look, there's student number right there. Okay. And I'm going to say it equals. And I'm going to create a method that will get that information. So I'm going to say ask and for student number. Okay, and so notice that there's a red squiggly line under that, and the reason why is there is no method that is called ask for student number. So we have to create it. So I go back over here and I just say generate method. And notice that down here it has built private static string ask for student number. It knows it's returning a string and throw not implemented. Okay, so it's built me a template for my method. I'm not going to write it yet. We'll write it here in a little bit. So if I've got my student number, I want to get the names. All right, so first student tab dot, and I want to get the last name of my, oh, let's get the first name first. That always makes sense. First name and equals, and now I'm going to put another method call ask for student, and I want to get student name, and I'm going to put an argument in here. I'm going to say first. I'm going to let it actually dictate what it's returning, okay? Or what it's asking for. Okay, just like that. Once again, don't have a method that's called that, so I'm going to build one. There it is, ask for student name, right there. All right. And it knows I'm going to pass it a string, okay? Now I want to change this. I don't want it to ask for that one. I'm going to say, I'm going to call it which one. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to say, once again, first student, tab. I'm going to ask for the last name now. And equals. And I'm going to say ask for student name. And in here, I'm going to put last. Okay. So hopefully you're starting to see a pattern here, okay? As I get the information for my student, I'm going to build a method, and my methods are going to get the information from the user and then send the information back, okay? And that way I don't have to have all the code in my static void main to do that. So what does the rest of that look like? Okay, looks just like that. I don't have a method for ask for major yet. I don't have a method for ask for exam score yet. There we go. Now I do. All right. Let me just tighten this all up a little bit. Okay, good. So I've gone through now, and I've created my main methods that I need down below. Okay. I'm going to put just a little bit more code in here. Going to put that code right there, and then I want to stop it after that so we can see it. So I'm going to say console dot write line, and I'm going to put and press any key to end, and I do not need to capitalize key. And then I'm going to write, I need to have a command to hold that, so I'm going to put console dot and read key. Just like that. Okay, so I've kind of created a little template for one object, for that first object to be my first student. And I've created a way to get the information, but I haven't built the methods yet. So let's just take a moment here and let's start to build those methods. Remember, methods are pieces of code. Each piece of code does one thing, does it well, but is a small amount of lines of code. Generally, we like to have 6 or less lines of code in a method. 12 would be a lot, but it does happen once in a while, okay? So if we go and we say, let's see, let's just go down here and let's start with ask for student number, okay? That's going to be my first one that I'm going to do. And so I'm going to take out this, and I want to write string. There we go. And I'm going to create in value. Okay? In value. Now there's no arguments, so there's no information coming into this method to start off with. And then I'm going to say console, I have to ask the user for the information. And so I'm going to say enter student ID number. Okay, just like that. Now I need, of course, a console read line. Oh, first I have to say in value, right, and equals, and console read line. And that will come in the form of a string, so we're okay there. And now I'm going to say I want to put in my return. Okay, and so so now if we look at this method, when we call it from up above, it's going to take this information and put it in this case, first student dot student number. It's going to put this information when I give it to them. So that's what we want the method call to do. And we can use this method over and over and over every time we build a new student. Okay, so let's go up and let's build the ask for student name. Now remember, we're going to get a argument. The argument is which one. And if you remember right, the way we wrote those calls, it's either going to pass in first or last. So we need our method to ask that So it's going to look kind of like this. It's going to say string in value. Then I'm going to say console write line, enter student, and notice that I've put a 0 in there and name, and it's going to take which one and stick it in there. So if it's first name, last name, that's what it's going to ask for, okay? And then it's going to get in value the console read line, and it's going to pass it back, all right? Hopefully that method makes more sense now that you saw the ask for student number. Could you write the ask for major after seeing that? What I would say is stop me and go ahead and write it and see how yours comes out, and then I'm going to put mine in here in just a second. Okay, are you ready? All right, I'm going to put mine in and then see if your method call matches mine. So I'm going to take this throw exception out, and I'm going to put this in its place. So mine says string in value, console write line, enter, and then I put this so that it'll put this S on here, enter, because we passed their first name in as an argument, their major, and I've added name. Oh, I see. So I need to call that student first name, right? All right. Now it matches up. Now you have to ask yourself, why, when I'm using these variables that are the same names as the variables that are up above, does this work? And the reason why is encapsulation. It's inside the method. It only exists while the method's running. Once the method's done running, it goes away. It is not in the memory anymore to where we can access it. All right. So enter the student's first name. We have an in value console read line. Return that value. Okay. So how did you do? Did you get that one? Well, let's try the next one. The next one is a little bit harder. So you could do what I'm going to do in a little less code. So you think about it and see what you would do. Okay, I'm going to change these. Okay, see if you got what I have here in this method call. I did that fast. I probably should have gave you more time. But see if you can write it without looking at my code first. Okay, so I put string in value, int score. I did change. You could have used that V up above. I think that would get confusing. I like which one. That tells me exactly what I'm looking at. String in value, int a score. Console write line, enter a value for score, and then it tells them the number of which one we're looking for, 1, 2, or 3. In value console read line, a score, int parse, and then return a score. Okay, so that is all the methods that we need for our program to run. I believe that would do it. So if I come up here and I hit the save, I need to save. I haven't saved for a while, and I'm going to rebuild this project. It says it succeeded. So let's just let's try it out. Okay, my AVG is going to check it out, and it says, hey, all right. So it says, hey, what's the, enter the student number. Okay, so I'm going to enter the student number. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and the student's name, let's say the student's name is, of course, Bob, and wants to know their last name, Tabor. It says enter Bob's major. See how that worked? So Bob's major, let's say Bob is a French major. Sure he would find that funny. He'd especially find it funny if I spelled French wrong. So his score, let's say he got a 99. He was really good on that test. He got a 92, not so good there, and a 95. And it comes back and it says, first student's name is Bob Tabor, majored in French without an N, which is bad. Scored an average. Here's his average. And notice I've created it so it says 95.33 and did not go 3333333. Hopefully you saw that in the code. And then it says press any key to end. So once I press this key, then any key, it's going to stop this program. Just like that. Okay? So let me close out of that. There we go. And so let's go ahead and let's do just a little bit more on this. Well, no, I think I'm going to make it one more video because we're sitting at almost 22 minutes now. So let me stop there. Save this, okay? In fact, let's just do that now. Let's save it. And every time I save it, I usually just build it just to make sure. Oh, I should rebuild. There we go. Make sure you build it so you know there's nothing major errors in your program. Okay. So I'm going to leave that alone right now, and I'm going to come back and we'll do a couple more students in the next section. So look forward to seeing you there.
Our next video is CS ASP 028 Introduction to Class Objects Part 3. I look forward to seeing you there.